Hi, my boys and girls. We're going to get ready to read a big book that I have. And this book is on the polar regions. Let's see if Samantha is out. Where's Samantha's house? There she is. Hi, Samantha, you are out, ready for our story. She says, please be quiet because I have teeny tiny mouse orejas. We will do that, Samantha. Did you see some other friends that she's made over here? I see our emperor penguin. And who's that up there? Is that our orca friend? He's up there too. He probably wants to hear this story because it is about the place where he likes to live. Okay, he travels down to this polar region. And it's going to talk about two different regions, and we're mostly going to discuss the polar region that we've been traveling to this week, Antarctica. Life in the polar regions. And there's some penguins. It says the polar regions are the coldest places on Earth. The temperature seldom climbs above freezing. The treeless lands and windswept seas are almost always covered with snow and ice. Treeless lands, so there's no trees there. And here you can see the Arctic at the top of the Earth and Antarctica at the bottom, the Antarctic. What is next? It says, in the polar regions, more plants and animals live in the sea than they live on the land. So there are more animals that live in the sea than land animals. Even the coldest waters are full of life. So here's the krill we've been talking about that the penguins eat. And there are squid. They even eat squid right here. Plankton. That is all in that icy cold water. Over here, we have different kinds of fish that live in the polar regions. Fish can even survive there. Ice fish, look at that guy. He's able to stay in that freezing cold water. God made him just right to live there. What's next? Some whales spend all of their time in the polar seas. Others will migrate to the polar regions in the spring to feast or eat the krill. This is a humpback whale. They can be in the Arctic and the Antarctic. And down here we have narwhals. They are in the Arctic. On this side, did you see them right there? And then this side has the seals. The seals of the polar regions depend on squid, fish, and krill to eat. So this is a seal that is down in the Antarctic. Here's a ringed seal that is in the Arctic up north. Seals are mammals that spend most of their time in the sea. In spring, they haul themselves onto land or floating chunks of ice so that they can have their pups, their babies. They will rest on these chunks of ice and they'll bask in the sun. In the summertime, there is a lot of sun in the polar regions. In the wintertime, there can be hardly any sun at all. All day and night can be dark. Several kinds of penguins live on the ice of the Antarctic. These unusual birds cannot fly, but they are excellent swimmers. They dive into the cold currents to find fish, squid, and krill. Penguins can stay underwater for up to 18 minutes at a time. That's a lot more than a human can. This is a king penguin. They are the second biggest penguins. They have darker yellow around them than the emperor penguins. That's how you can tell. After a long dive, penguins leap out of the water for a quick breath of air, and then they plunge right back in. This style of swimming is known as porpoising. So they'll leap out, jump out, jump out, just like a rocket, land on some ice. Penguins can jump straight out of the water and land feet first on a chunk of ice. This move is also called rocketing. Well, that's a good name for it, rocketing, because it is like a rocket. They just jump right out. Once on solid ground, penguins often walk or waddle to get where they're going, but sometimes they drop onto their bellies and they use their feet and flippers to push themselves along. Penguin watchers call this action tobogganing. Yep, these guys have been walking and they're thinking, maybe we can get there faster if we just slide on our bellies. So they're making a slide with their belly. What's the next page gonna tell us about? Oh, there's lots in here for the Arctic, which we're going to talk about in a few weeks. And then here is a picture of a great big piece of ice. It says that people did not live in the Antarctic region until recent times. Today, scientists will spend long periods of time doing research near the South Pole. In the summer, there may be some tourists that will come down and visit Antarctica. Perhaps one day you could travel to a polar region and be a scientist or a tourist. Well, I think it would be fun to go down there as a tourist. Look how big that ice is compared to these people. There's the people, and that iceberg keeps going all the way up through the top of our page. They are so big. I would love to see that in real life. That would be a big trip, though, to go all the way down to Antarctica, all the way down to the bottom of the earth. And there's our life in the polar regions. And we're going to read the rest of this book when it talks about the Arctic whenever we travel to the North Pole. So that book will be in our classroom when we get back together next week. Bye-bye.